Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amir Poonawala. I am a licensed immigration advisor for New Zealand and migration agent for Australia here at G.E.M.S International. Our office is based in Auckland City of New Zealand. Please subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button and push the bell icon so you can get regular updates about various immigration issues, news, and how to apply for different types of visas. Thank you. Please read our legal disclaimer for this video provided in the comment section of this video before you watch this video. Thank you. Now, this is another question that we are asked so often that it has prompted me to make this video so that I don't have to repeat the information over and over again to so many prospective students. So what is the question? The question is, what is the cost of living for a student in Australia? So let us look at this topic from the perspective of a single student wanting to study full-time in Australia. But again, you must remember that the cost of living for a single student and a student going to Australia with family is obviously going to be different. So please bear that in mind. You must remember that the cost of living for a student wanting to study full-time in Australia will vary depending on which city, which state, and in which suburb you decide to go and live. And this is pretty common sense really, but I thought I will mention this right at the onset because the cost will vary, whether you are living in the CBD area, whether you are 20 kilometers away from the CBD, where is the actual location of your college or university, and there are so many factors. So there is no fixed amount that you can look at or you can budget. You will always need to have flexibility around your budget. But yes, we will give you some figures so that you can plan around it and budget accordingly. So if you look at the official requirement for a student, even before making a student visa application, you should have at least a minimum of Australian dollars 21,041 towards your living cost for 1 year in Australia. So that's quite an important figure you must remember. And that comes to around 1,753 Australian dollars per month towards your living cost. Now remember that this is the actual amount of funds you will need to show when you make a student visa application. I mean, you need to show that these funds are available for you and you can bring them over to Australia when you will be physically living here, and that you will have access to those funds, more importantly. So please bear that in mind. Okay, now again regarding the cost of living funds, please also note that you can have a sponsor, that is somebody can sponsor you for to meet your cost of living in Australia. But again, there is a whole bunch of other requirements to be met when it comes to having a sponsor. So we will not go in that direction in this video. We will mainly focus on the different areas of cost that you will have to incur when you will be living in Australia. So let's look at that. So coming back to this cost of living for a student in Australia, From our opinion, the cost of living can be divided into 5 different areas of cost. The first and the primary area is your accommodation cost, and this could include what you will have to either pay for your rent or boarding. Now, again, remember that there are different types of accommodation. Quite obviously, that either you could be living in a shared dormitory kind of an accommodation, or you could be sharing a room with another colleague, or you could be having your own independent single separate room, or you could be having your own studio apartment, or if your budget allows you, you could be having your own separate house. So there are so many different arrangements, or you could be living with a host family. So there are many options available when it comes to housing, but since most students have a very tight budget, um, it is always good to share the accommodation with other students, so you get to share all the facilities along with it: the kitchen, the internet connection, the TV, and all the whiteware that comes in an apartment or a house. You will get to share all that, and sharing will save you a lot of money basically. Right. So, like I mentioned earlier, that these costs will depend and vary from city to city, suburb to suburb, and also from the quality of the accommodation, the type of the accommodation. But on an average, you must set aside somewhere around $150 to $450 per week. Remember, I mentioned per week for your accommodation cost. If I have to give you a rough guideline of the different accommodation and the cost per week, I would say hostels and guest houses, you could be spending anywhere around $100 to $150 per week. If you are sharing a rental apartment, again now depends how many bedrooms are there in that apartment and how many students get accommodated in that apartment. It could be 2, it could be 3, 4, depends. There are several factors. How big is the apartment? So roughly you can keep aside again another $100 to $225 per week for rental apartments. Okay. Other accommodation option that may be available is on campus, and this could be provided by your education provider itself or through their arrangement with a third party provider. So if you are living on campus, then you can budget roughly $150 to $300 per week. And this is just the accommodation cost, not necessarily the meals that you will have with daily is not included in this. Then you could be living in a homestay arrangement. Homestay arrangement is normally comes with 3 meals or 2 meals per day. But this accommodation cost that I am going to provide you just covers the accommodation part of it. So you can budget around $200 to roughly $325 a week if you are in a homestay kind of an arrangement. Right. And there could be another form of accommodation arrangement, and this applies to mainly to students, school going students, primary school going students, secondary school going students, and if such students have come from overseas to Australia to study in Australia, then for such students the cost of accommodation could be anywhere around $11,000 to 22,000 Australian dollars a year. So I hope I have given you quite a good idea over there as to what will be the accommodation cost. Secondly, the next area of your cost of living is your food. Quite obviously, that you will have to either prepare your own food at the accommodation where you are living, or you decide to get some ready-made lunch packs or dinner packs from outside, from some people in your neighborhood or suburb if they are preparing and providing such services, or then you could probably eat out in the restaurants. But remember that the option of eating out in the restaurants will be a pricey one, and it will probably blow your budget, so you have to be very, very mindful when it comes to your food related cost. Now, when it comes to food and groceries related cost, this will again depend from person to person. It will also depend on your eating habits, and it will also depend whether you are vegetarian, non-vegetarian, what type of food you eat normally, how often you eat. Some people could be eating 2 meals a day, some people could be eating 5 meals a day. It depends. I mean, if somebody is going to the gym quite often, they will need a lot of supplements on a daily basis, and other health products. So you will have to budget according to your needs. There is no flat amount. Yeah, so yes, you can always enjoy a meal or two every weekend in the restaurants, and but you will save a good chunk of your money if you decide to cook your own food, and if at all you know how to cook in the first place. So you must on an average set aside around $150 to $300 per week for your food and groceries related cost. Again, you must also budget for gas and electricity if you are living in an apartment where gas is being supplied, and obviously power will be supplied to all the accommodations. If you are renting your own apartment, then you will have to budget for such expenses as well. Okay, coming to the next aspect of your accommodation is your transportation cost. Your transportation cost will again depend whether you are going to utilize the public transport facilities that are available, or you are going to buy your own car or a bike, or nowadays many students we have seen are using e-scooty, and I will suggest that you only use e-scooty if you are confident and able to handle the balancing part of it, because a lot of accidents have occurred while using e-scooties. So you must always be very, very careful. Next thing you must remember when it comes to driving a bike or an e-scooty or any two-wheeler in Australia, unlike many Asian countries, wearing a helmet is a mandatory requirement. Please bear that in mind. It is very, very important. You could end up with a fine ticket if you are not wearing a helmet. So yes, so obviously when you will utilize public transport, you will save money as compared to having your own car, and you could probably also save money if you are going to use your own bike. So this again will depend what bike you are using, whether it is a economical bike or a luxury brand. This will all depend on your own budget. But to give you a rough idea on the transportation cost, would be around $150 to $250 per month. This will apply mainly if you are using a public transport. Again, it will depend on the distance between your accommodation and your college or university and all these other factors. And I would say you must keep aside a good $200 per week if you are owning or having your own car. So, because car will come with another bunch of expenses, gas, maintenance, registration, WOF. So you will have to have extra budget if you are planning to buy your own car. Right, so coming to the next element of your living cost, and that is if you are taking any medicines on an ongoing basis for whatever reasons, you must budget extra cost to be able to buy those medicines, or you could even bring a pack from your home country so that you can continue taking your medication. So you will have to budget some extra cost over there. And there is a mandatory requirement for you to have a health insurance coverage for the duration of your stay in Australia. From the day you land in Australia till the day you leave, you will need to have a medical or a health insurance coverage. And this health insurance coverage you will have to take from the specified agency that the Department of Home Affairs has assigned and allocated this task to issue health insurance policy coverage to students coming from overseas. So you will have to buy this from that agency, or in some instances the college or the university at the time of your enrollment will suggest you that you organize your health insurance through them. So this option could also be available, or you can simply apply to the respected agency and pay them, and they will issue you the coverage. You will have to provide them the dates. And when it comes to your health insurance cost, it will again depend on the provider. There are different health insurance providers, and the cost of your health insurance will depend from provider to provider, and what type of policy and what type of coverage you have decided or you have selected. And to give you an average cost of health insurance for a year, you must budget around $500 to $1,000 for your health insurance coverage during your stay in Australia. And this is for a period of 1 year. Again, some providers could offer a little longer period due to the competition between different providers. But I suggest that you go for a reputed provider as compared to a new provider. Make sure you have done a bit of research around what is the claims settlement percentage for that provider, because many a times if God forbid, if there is an untoward incident and you make a claim, there could be various tricky policies. You must always review the policy wordings if you are taking any medical or health insurance, to make sure that you understand what is written in that policy document. in case if you are going to make a claim for any reason, then you must ensure that you know what the policy is and what it covers, instead of getting surprises when you make a claim. So please bear that in mind. And the last area of your living cost is going to be related to your entertainment, buying some new clothes, sightseeing, eating out, or traveling out to different cities and different attractions. And this cost will again depend on your taste and how often you want to travel out, or how often you go and watch movies, or go out clubbing. So this will again vary from person to person, but on an average I would suggest that you keep anywhere between $100 to $150 per week for your entertainment related cost. If at all you want more, you can have more as well, but I believe most of your time will be utilized in your studies, in gaining some part-time work experience. But yes, you can always go out and have some fun. And the best part of living in Australia is that you will be legally allowed to work a maximum of 20 hours per week, or consolidated a maximum of 40 hours per fortnight. So this is a great opportunity for you to gain work experience in Australia, interact with the locals, and make some pocket money. So whether you spend this, save this, or send it back home, choice is yours. Okay, so I believe I have given you a good enough idea of the different cost of living that you are likely to incur during your stay in Australia. Thank you once again for watching our video. I hope you have found this interesting. If you have liked this video, please press the like button, subscribe to our channel, push the bell icon so that you can get regular updates. We will be back with another interesting video on a different issue, or any latest news that we would like to share with you, or on how to make another type of a visa application. So thank you once again. I wish and hope you are safe wherever you are, in any part of the world watching this video. Please maintain social distancing, wash your hands regularly. Until then, see you next time. Goodbye.